you through getting into modeling with this application Clara.io, which is an online browser 3D tool. So I want to create a new scene, create an empty scene. I'm just going to call it modeling tutorial. And once I'm done, I hit create. So now that I'm in a new scene, first I want to, generally I'm right up here in general. Then I want to move over to modeling, this tab. Now I want to open up this screen, so I click on this so I have more of a space to view from. Screen space does get slim sometimes, so it's good to open up as much as you can with your viewport. Now, when I'm modeling, let's say I want to create a ground, I can click on this button and it creates the ground. It won't scale up, but it can scale this way and that way. But that's just the ground. Now, if I were to create something like a cube or a sphere, then I can definitely scale this in all 3 dimensions as it's more 3-dimensional. But if I want to scale it in all directions, it's a uniform scale. But that's just this object. Now, let's say I want to transform this shape. So far, it doesn't have any subdivisions. So what I want to do is go into its properties under the polymesh drop-down, start to manipulate it. Now, I could change the width or the height, or I could scale it. I don't think it matters at this point. In any case, you want to subdivide it too. This will add level of detail. Right? The more there is, the more resolute it will become. But you don't want to make it too large, else you'll find you'll be nitpicking through the every component in order to get it to shape what you want. You want a general shape at first, so you can get the general forms and shapes and mounds and clumps in there that you'll need. So far it's in object mode. What you'd want to do is, if you do want to mirror this or change anything around it, like let's say if I want to put a cut in there, I can select this on the side. And this goes for the object in object mode. That basically means the whole thing is going to move. I could also rotate this tool, by the way. This is just one of them. There's several others that you can have if you want to make it symmetrical. You can move this over this way and you create a symmetrical plane of whatever the geometry looks like. Now you won't see a wireframe if you put it in realistic mode. Oh, I'm sorry. Unless you have the show edges selected. But that's not all. If you have, and this is treated as one object, so if you do go back to general, it will show up as plane. I just want to go back to model and of course open that up. Now what if I want to change the actual components of this object? So I'm talking about faces, edges, and vertices. What you might want to do is check out these 3. You do have this one, which has its own operations it can perform, but usually when you have faces, edges, and vertices, they're going to have their own set of operations in which you can apply to that mesh. So now when I do select faces, I hover my cursor or mouse over the surface, and whatever turns yellow, and again, I'm not clicking anything, you can absolutely select it. Or you can marquee select and select a range of components. Now just make sure that you're able to get everything. Now if I want to select or add to my selection, I might want to hold Control, and that's going to add to the selection. If I want to decrease parts or components, I want to click there. Hold Option on a Mac and hold Alt on a Chromebook in order to subtract selection points. And then from there you can alternate the surface if you will. But let's say I want to round out something like this corner right here. It's flat around here, so I don't want that plateaued look. What I might want to do is subdivide it even more or change it to edges so I can just move those singular components, and now I have something that is selectable by edge. And again, if you double click on something like this, you can move it up, or you could rotate it, should that be within your interest. Notice how if I select this, the whole set of operations changes. That's something you can use. So what you might want to do is just select a set of these and test out each form or each operation per component mode. You have faces, edges, and vertices. Vertices are usually points that are an intersection between edges or endpoints for edges. So let's say I have it in vertex mode. You could take it even further and select it by that vertice point, and you can even further smooth that line should that be within the look you're going for. And again, each one has its own benefits. So if you want to extrude something, slide it down, or maybe make it look a little more pyramidal, you have those options. Or you can also indent it if you would. Let's say you want to have two bevels at once, two extrusions at once, you could do that. Bring it up, or you can bring it down. And then of course, you can also bevel a component. So if I selected this and I hit bevel, that's going to bring out the whole form. You could increase the length in this editing bar, or you could increase the segments, and that's going to round those edges. This is a great tool for furniture. So if you can see this, I'm going to hit F for framing it. You can change these values of how it's adjusted. Usually you don't want to do any less than 3 bevels to have a smooth curve. That's a rule that is derived from carpenters. And of course you have other components here. You can offset this also. With Maya, there are these tools also, but they're just named differently, or they're located differently on their interface. With edges, I believe you can extrude edges, but I'm not certain. So you might want to test out some of these to see what works and what doesn't. You can also always insert vertex, and then you can connect these if you select one, for instance, and then you hold down Control and select another. Then you can connect these, and that's a way to split these edges should you want to further subdivide specific parts of the model. This is a great way to start, is just to basically test out how these work, and to ensure that you're getting the results you want from the model. If I want to weld these, I could select this and connect another. I believe these, if you control there, you can connect it. All right, that doesn't seem to work. Again, it's a learning process, so take your time, have fun with it, and I'm looking to see what type of landscape and construct you're able to build.